What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another Daily Deck Tech video, and today we have another viewer request. So, a few weeks ago when I showcased my friend Jason's $17,000 Norin the Wary deck, I got a request. Could we do Norin the Wary, but on a budget? And I'm finally getting around to it, so without further ado, we got Norin the Wary on a budget. Not $17,000, but $121,000. So let's give a recap at who Norin the Wary is. So Norin the Wary has, whenever a player plays a spell or a creature attacks, Norin the Wary pieces the scene and, he gets removed from the game. He goes into exile. And then return Norin under its owner's control at the end of turn. So he's very, very, very wary. He likes to run away, all that sort of thing. So what we're going to do is try to have ourselves a bunch of ETB effects, especially revolving around creatures. We have one Planeswalker in this deck. We are playing Tibalt, Rakish Instigator, who creates little devils, and then also your opponents can't gain life. Creatures. We have ourselves Alexios Demos of Cosmos. I really like this card. I will say I have one critique about this entire card, and it's not the card itself. It's on this art, his sword looks very goofy. It's like bent upwards. It's very stubby. And I know it's probably a perspective thing, but it just looks very strange. But it is a 4/4 for 4 with trample. And Alexios Demos of Cosmos attacks each combat if able, cannot be sacrificed, and cannot attack its owner. Remember, the owner is the person who owns the card, obviously. And then controller is who currently has possession of the card on the battlefield. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player gains control of Alexios, untaps it, and puts a 1/1 counter on it, and then it gains haste until end of turn. So you have to attack with it. It helps beat people down. We have Beetleback Chief. When this creature enters, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. We have Little Atali in here. I had to put something that had some form of body on it, which is whenever Atali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, and you may cast any number of spells from amongst those cards without paying their mana cost. We have Fanatic Amogus, which is when Fanatic Amogus enters the battlefield, it deals damage to each opponent equal to your devotion to red. We have Gimli of the Glittering Caves, which is double striking whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control. Put a 1/1 counter on Gimli. So he gets pretty big, pretty fast with Norin. And whenever Gimli deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Goblin Instigator. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 red goblin. We got Gutter Snipe, so whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Harsh Mentor, so whenever an opponent activates the ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it's not a mana ability, it deals 2 damage to that player. We have Krenko Mob Boss. He makes a whole bunch of goblins, where X is equal to the number of goblins. We've got Other Krenko, which is when he attacks, he puts a 1/1 counter on himself, and then he makes a number of 1/1 red goblins equal to Krenko's power. We have Magus of the Wheel, so that way we can Wheel of Fortune ourselves without having to pay $400. We have Mog War Marshal, which is Echo, and when it enters the battlefield or dies, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Molten Gatekeeper, so whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Molten Gatekeeper deals 1 damage to each opponent. It also has Unearth. Myr Battlesphere. This card used to actually see play in Legacy at one point in time. When this creature enters, create 4 1/1 colorless Myr, and then whenever this creature attacks, you may tap X untapped Myr tokens, or untap Myr you control. If you do, this creature gets +X+0 until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. This is going to synergize very well with another card that we have later on. We have Shocking Sharpshooter, which is whenever another creature you control enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Siege Gang Commander, he dumps some goblins on, and then you can sack goblins to deal 2 damage to any target. We got the old sad robot in here. We did add Torbrand for some damage amplification. So the reason we don't have things like Ogier Axonal in here, or Soulfim, or even like some of the enchantments that double, is because so many of those are sitting at like $30, $40, $50 a piece, and that, friends, is just too much for a budget deck. But to the person who wanted me to create this budget version, if you do have those cards sitting around, I would absolutely substitute those in over something like Solemn Simulacrum. But Torbrand makes it so if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2. We have Wefstalker Ardent. He has Warp, and whenever another creature or artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then we have Witty Roastmaster, which is whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Sorceries, we're running 14. We got Blasphemous Act. That one's pretty simple and straightforward. We've got ourselves Bolt Wave. It deals 3 damage to each opponent. Cathartic Reunion. You discard a card, you discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards. Chain Reaction deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. Disruptive Gorm. I love this card. It goads all creatures you don't control. Dragon Fodder creates 2 goblins. Faithless Looting. You draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. It also has Flashback. Fiery Confluence. You get to choose 3 modes. You can choose the same mode more than once. Deals 1 damage to each creature, deals 2 damage to each opponent, or destroy target artifact. So you can deal 6 damage to each opponent with this. Hordling Outburst lets you create some Gabos. Krenko's Command also lets you create some Gabos. Prisoner's Dilemma is each opponent secretly chooses Silence or Snitch. I actually really like this card because, you know, in my social work classes, I had to take some psychology classes and learned all about the Prisoner's Dilemma and game theory and fun stuff like that. But if each opponent chose Silence, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 4 damage to each of them. If each opponent chose Snitch, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 8 damage to them. Otherwise, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 12 damage to each opponent who chose Silence, which is pretty funny. Pyroclasm in here deals 2 damage to each creature. Tempt with Vengeance. Create a X/1/1 red goblin or elemental creature tokens with haste. Each opponent may create X as well. For each opponent who does, you get to do it again. Tormenting Voice, as an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2. Instants, we have 9. We have a Braid. Pretty simple, straightforward. Big score. Discard a card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasures. Chaos Warp, pretty straightforward as well. You shuffle a permanent into an owner's library, then they reveal cards from... then they reveal the top card of the library. If it's a permanent card, put it on the battlefield. We have Lightning Bolt for just a tiny amount of removal. Same with Shock. These are probably lower tier. You could probably find other ways, other cards to replace them, like Anger of the Gods, things like that. Tempt with Mayhem. Choose target instant or sorcery spell. Each opponent may copy that spell and may choose new targets for the copy they control. You copy that spell once, plus an additional time for each opponent who copied the spell this way. You may choose new targets for the copies. Thrill of Possibility. You discard a card, draw 2. Unexpected Windfall. Discard a card. Draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. And Wild Ricochet. You may choose new targets for target, instant, or sorcery spell. Then copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Artifacts. So remember more battles here. We've got ourselves Genesis Chamber. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if Genesis Chamber is untapped, that creature's controller creates a 1/1 colorless Myr. So your Norin the Wearer is going to be generating Myrs pretty much nonstop. We do have Mirage Mirrors, so you can make this a copy of Genesis Chamber. That way you get extra copies, or you can even copy yourself a Panharmonicon here, which will double your ETB triggers. We have Sculpting Steel, also good for copying your Panharmonicon, your Genesis Chamber, or even this Urbrask's Forge here, which is the beginning of combat on your turn. You put an oil counter on. You get yourself an X1 Phyrexian Horror, where X is the number of oil counters. You sacrifice it at the end step. You also get Skullclamp, because we're going to have 1,000,000 tokens, so we may as well use them to draw some cards. Enchantments, we have Curse of Opulence. Encourages opponents to attack the cursed player. They get gold tokens. Goblin Assault. Beginning of your upkeep, put a goblin into play with haste, and goblins attack each turn if able. Then we have Goblin Bombardment, which is sacrifice a creature. This enchantment deals 1 damage to any target. We have Impact Tremors, so whenever a creature you control enters, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Mechanized Warfare, if a red or artifact source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 1. We see how this is only +1 and it's $1.79, and this is for the cheapest version, mind you. I updated to cheapest. We have Outpost Siege, which is you choose Khans or Dragons. Khans, you get to exile the top card, play it, and Dragons is whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any target. You're going to probably choose Dragons. We have Pandemonium. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, that creature's controller may have it deal damage equal to its power to target a creature or player of his or her choice. We have Raid Bombardment. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Stensia Uprising, which is at the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 red human creature token, and if you control exactly 13 permanents, you may sacrifice Stensia Uprising. When you do, it deals 7 damage to each target. We've got ourselves Sulfuric Vortex. It deals 2 damage to a player during their upkeep, and players can't gain life. Vigilante Justice, which is whenever a human enters the battlefield under your control, Vigilante Justice deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And we have Warstorm Surge. So whenever a creature you control enters, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Notice I don't have City on Fire, Dictate of the Twin Gods, Winds of Wrath, or not Winds of Wrath, Furnace of Wrath. Those are all over $5, $6, $7, so not going in the budget list. And then for lands, we got ourselves a Mountain, a Carekeep, and Dwarven Mine. Hopefully, this meets the criteria for a budget deck. I think that this could do a lot of damage pretty quickly, even on a budget of $120. But let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. And if you want to see your deck made into a Commander deck tech, drop it in the comments down below. And if you want to see your Commander deck featured as a deck showcase, like I did with my friends Mitch and Jason, go ahead and drop the link to the Moxfield in the comments down below. I will also do that for you. I'll give you full credit and everything because I like featuring what people do with their decks. Let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.